Hello and welcome once again to the Waters and Stanton video channel. My name is Peter Waters, call sign is Golf 3 Oscar Juliet Victor.
Welcome to the Waters and Stanton ham radio channel.
I've been playing around with the Yaesu FTX-Optima, or in this case the Field, for about 3 months. This is of course part of the FTX-1 Optima. This is the Field bit, the bit on the front that gives you a QRP transceiver, and if you mate it up to the Optima you get a 100-watt transceiver, base station transceiver. If you have just the head unit, you've got 6 watts coming out courtesy of this rather large battery on the back, or 10 watts output if you connect a 12-volt supply to it. So the good thing about the Optima, of course, is that it gives you a combination choice. You can either go QRP with 6 watts and a battery, or 10 watts with an external battery, or take the whole gubbins out and go for 100 watts. So in some respects it could be a good option for POTA or SOTA or any of the other T's that become popular. But I've been using this for the last 3 months, and I've learned quite a lot about it. Now, there's been plenty of videos on the FTX one telling you how to do this and how to do that, but I've found 1 or 2 little tricks which perhaps are not so well known. And I thought what I'd do really was just to cover the Optima, which of course will embrace the Field in many respects, cover the Optima and tell you the features that I like, things that I've found out that you can do with it, tricks that you can do with it, and what makes it altogether quite a very interesting transceiver, very versatile transceiver. You could use it mobile, you could use it portable, you could use it as a base station, and it's altogether is very well engineered, I think. So let's have a look around the FTX-1 Optima, which of course includes the Field. I should perhaps explain that you can buy this unit on its own, the Field, which comprises this and the battery, or you can buy the complete gubbins, the Optima, which is this, plus the battery, plus the 100-watt amplifier. And if you want to buy the Field and at a later date want to upgrade to the Optima, you can buy the amplifier unit as a separate unit. Just in case you haven't tuned into all the many videos covering this, in summary, the radio covers 160 meters through to 70 sems. It includes 4 meters. On the bands from 160 meters up into 6 meters, you get 100 watts output, and on 4 meters, 2 meters and 70 sems, you get 50 watts out. Minimum power is around about 5 watts. So it covers all the frequencies, HF through to the popular VHF frequencies, and of course the 4 meter band that many people want on a portable radio. Now, as for modes, it covers all the modes. It covers SSB, that's USB and LSB, it covers CW, it covers FM, it covers data, it covers the digital modes for Yaesu, and there's modes that I haven't even recognised on there. There's loads and loads of modes, so no problem with the modes. And one feature which is probably quite unique in a portable radio is the fact that you can monitor 2 bands at the same time, or 2 frequencies at the same time. So for example, you could be listening on the HF bands and be monitoring the 2 meter repeater or the 70 sems repeater. You could even monitor 4 meters. What you can't do is you can't monitor 2 HF bands at the same time. It's got to be 1 HF band and one of the VHF bands, or if you're a VHF enthusiast, you could monitor 2 VHF bands. You could be listening on 70 sems FM and monitor 2 meter SSB, assuming of course there's some stations on. By the way, FT8 is very simple with the FTX-1 series. All you need is a smartphone and a USB-C cable, and you can set it up in a minute or so. Check out my recent video on it. Phone starts to transmit a signal which is picked up via the Vox and the microphone, and you'll see the display is turned red and I'm now transmitting FT8. Now both FTX transceivers are capable of very accurately measuring power. I found the power meter reading was very accurate, but I do like to actually see what my true PEP is, and you can do that on both these models. First of all, you need to go into the menu system, bring up the menu, go to the third page and go to General Settings, and there you'll see TX General, and at the bottom you'll see that I've switched the meter reading from average to peak. Now I'm going to set the power level to 50 watts. I'm going to speak into the microphone and you'll see that we get a very accurate indication of 50 watts PEP. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hello test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hello test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hello test. Now here's another interesting little trick I've found, particularly if you're an aircraft enthusiast. This is 40 metres.
19 degrees, something like that now. Quite chilly in the morning. Bravo, received.
And this is the local airport.
Southend information. Bravo, at time 1, 3, 2, 0.
So I can listen to the airband, monitor a particular frequency on the airband.
Airfield information. My evening, I've got this afternoon meal, evening meal.
Listen to 40 metres as well.
Chris, lovely.
A nice feature. Here's something else perhaps you didn't know. With the Optima, you can actually have a separate receive antenna. You've just got to configure it in the menu system. Let me show you how you do it. Go to the menu system, go to page 3 and then select General, and there at the bottom you'll see options. Third item down is antenna option, and here you can select to have the second antenna as receive only with transmit on antenna 1, or you can have transmit and receive on antenna 1 and receive on antenna 2, which gives you the two options. So that means to say you've got a particular noise problem. With the Optima, you can actually have a separate receive antenna, perhaps a loop or something like that, to try and reduce your noise. Just another little trick I found. Did you know that if you've got the Optima, you may not have the remote cable kit that allows you to extend the head something like 15 feet away from the main unit? You can still detach the head. There's still enough on that short cable to unplug the head and then tilt it. And I find that that tilt angle is much better than having the unit on the front of the main amplifier, because although the main amplifier's got legs, it doesn't really, to my mind, give quite enough angle, at least for my purpose. So you can actually detach the unit like this. Now there's another advantage of doing this, perhaps you wouldn't have realised, that if you detach the head like this, you're then able to attach the battery to the back of the head unit. In other words, you've got the complete field system, but it's still connected to the amplifier. The advantage here is that the battery unit is now being charged by the main unit. So you've got the benefit of having the head unit detached. It rests at a nice angle courtesy of the battery, which acts as a sort of a support, and that battery is actually being charged. And also, if you were to disconnect the power supply to the main Optima, then the actual front panel will still feed the signal through to the main antenna socket on the back of the Optima amplifier. So even if the power is disconnected, you still can operate that radio, which means, say, if you have a power failure, you could operate the radio. And of course, if you want to operate QRP, you just switch the main unit off. And as soon as you switch the main unit off, then you go into the QRP mode with the head unit, and that gives you minimum power down to 500 milliwatts. So altogether, it's quite a nice idea to actually detach the head unit. Now, of course, having the dedicated extension cable kit is very valuable because it does enable you to place the head unit in any convenient spot. It means to say that your main amplifier and your power supply can be tucked out of the way underneath the desk or in a cupboard, and all you'll have on your desk is just the head unit, and that head unit is a 100 watt transceiver on the HF bands right up to 6 meters, and 50 watts on the VHF and UHF bands. I do find having the ability to receive two bands at once is quite useful. I showed you the air band mode, which does fascinate me a bit. I've always been interested in aircraft, so the airband mode is quite interesting for me. But if you want to monitor your local repeater and so forth, that's equally ideal way of operating. But certainly having dual receive on this unit is very good. I haven't used it extensively on the VHF bands, but I have taken part in the RSGB activity Tuesday night events, both on 2 meters and 77s, and it seems to give a good account of itself. It seems to be very sensitive, so I think as a transceiver that also offers VHF and UHF, it's not bad. And in many respects, I suppose it is an all-in-one box station. It gives you the 50 watts, same as the FT991. Now, if you compare it with the FT991A, this really is in a different class, particularly the receiver. The receiver is very, very good. Not to rubbish the 991A, but the 991A has been around for quite a long time now. It's cheaper and it enables you to get on all bands from 160 meters through to 77s. But it doesn't compare, I don't think, in performance with the FTX-Optima, and of course with the FTX-Optima, you've got sort of 2 or 3 transceivers in one box. You've got a base station, you've got a QRP radio, and you've also got a sort of a mobile unit. I have used the FTX-1 field configuration in the car, and it works extremely well. That battery, by the way, it really lasts for ages. That's a 6.5 hour amp battery, is more than enough to give you a good day's operation. If you're out in the field, when we get the better weather, of course. If you've got just the FTX-1 field, you can add the, I think it's called the SPA-1 amplifier, which is, I think, currently just over £500. But that is a 100 watt amplifier for the HF bands and a 50 watt amplifier for the VHF and UHF bands. It's got a built-in antenna tuner, or antenna matching unit, perhaps I should say. And also it's got the dual antenna sockets on the rear, so you can have 2 antenna sockets. And as I described earlier in the video, you can either have 2 antenna sockets for, this is for HF, 2 antenna sockets for HF, or make one of those antenna sockets a receive only. You've also got a separate socket on the back for VHF, UHF. So it's quite a good value unit in my mind. What you get for your just over £500. It's a nice add-on, and it's something which I think you might want to consider. Now, ham radio is all about having fun, isn't it? And I'm shooting this video just before Christmas, and I think that I've had a lot of fun with the FTX-1. It's a nice transceiver. It works well. It does all that you would really want it to do. It's a small transceiver. Well, that's a good point in some respects. It means to say, of course, that you've got to rely a bit more on the menu system. But you can't have a small transceiver and a big front panel. It doesn't happen. So a lot of the controls that you would have on a bigger transceiver are in the menu system, but the essential ones are on the front panel and on the top surface. So I didn't find that a problem at all. It's got bags of audio, by the way, and that's another thing actually. You've got two speakers on the front and a speaker built into the top of the amplifier unit, and you can configure that so that you either have all speakers working, or just the front speakers working, or just the rear speakers working, courtesy of the menu system again. Oh, and by the way, I was on 40 meters recently, and I had the other receiving channel on the local repeater, which I don't normally monitor, and I hooked up with a local station I hadn't spoken to for years. So another reason for having 2 receiver channels. So I hope you have an enjoyable holiday period over Christmas and the New Year. And well, I'm sure some of you will be watching this video for the first time in January or even February 2026. So Christmas will by then be history. But anyway, if you are watching over the holiday period, I wish you a very happy Christmas, happy New Year. If you want a bit of, I found a video actually, which made me laugh a lot. I laugh thinking about it now. I've put a link to it. It's a video that goes back a long way, and it features Roy Castle, and it's entitled "The Box." And it's a short video. It's only around about, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes long, but it's really humorous. And it's like humour used to be on TV. You don't get it so much these days. And I think it's actually in black and white. Anyway, below this video, I'm going to put a link to this this humorous video that I found, and I hope that you'll have a giggle when you watch it as well. In the meantime, you enjoy your ham radio. You take care. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.